In life, people often come and go like chapters in a book. Some leave quickly, some stay longer, and a few remain etched in our memory forever. But every now and then, there is a figure who does not just pass through your story, they close it. They leave such a final impression that once they exit, there is no one else quite like them who follows. This figure, for many, is the Sigma male. Unlike others who enter relationships or friendships seeking validation, Sigma males walk in with a different energy. They are not bound by the desire to impress or conform. Their presence is quiet but certain, unpolished yet magnetic. People rarely understand them fully, but they feel their weight. And when they leave, it often feels as though a chapter has ended that can never be rewritten. This is not because Sigma males are perfect, far from it. They are flawed, human, and learning like everyone else. But what separates them is their rarity, their refusal to play roles dictated by society, their ability to remain detached while still deeply observant, and their capacity to give without ever demanding. People sense, often unconsciously, that they are dealing with someone who cannot be replaced. The brutal truth is this: Sigma males are not built to linger in everyone's life. They are often transitional figures, teachers, catalysts, or mirrors that reveal truths others were not ready to see. They leave behind lessons, growth, and sometimes even regret. But rarely do they leave behind indifference. So why do Sigma males feel like the final chapter in people's lives? Why do they hold this peculiar place in human memory and emotion? The answer lies in the way they move, think, and connect. In this video, we will explore 6 key truths about why Sigma males often become that unforgettable ending, the last chapter that shapes how people remember, reflect, and even move forward. Number 1, they do not play roles. Most men move through life by stepping into roles that society has already carved out for them. The hero who saves the day, the joker who lightens the mood, or the leader who commands attention. These identities are safe, familiar, and easy to understand. They provide a kind of social script that everyone recognizes and can respond to. Yet in this predictable performance, something essential often gets lost: authenticity. Sigma males, however, refuse to wear these masks. They reject the expectation to conform to an archetype, choosing instead to walk a path that is entirely their own. This decision doesn't just make them different, it makes them unforgettable. When someone encounters a Sigma male, what they sense is not a polished act, but a raw presence. Studies in psychology reveal that authenticity is one of the most magnetic traits a person can embody. In fact, research has shown that authentic individuals are more trusted, respected, and often more attractive in social dynamics because they project consistency between their inner values and outward actions. The Sigma male thrives in this space of alignment. He doesn't feel the need to prove himself through words or exaggerated gestures. His authenticity does the speaking. This is why, when a Sigma male leaves someone's life, the absence feels heavier than with most others. It's not because he was louder, more dramatic, or more charismatic, but because his presence was rooted in something real. Once someone has experienced this level of authenticity, every other mask, whether it's the hero's charm or the leader's dominance, feels like a shadow in comparison. This is the brutal truth behind why Sigma males often linger in memory. People may try to fill the gap with others, but the replacements rarely measure up. What makes this dynamic even more fascinating is how it plays out across different aspects of life. In workplaces, Sigma males often operate independently, uninterested in climbing ladders for the sake of status. In relationships, they don't chase validation, which paradoxically makes their attention far more valuable. And in friendships, they avoid superficial bonds, preferring connections built on mutual respect. These choices set them apart from the scripted roles most men play, and the contrast is stark. Ultimately, the Sigma male's refusal to conform creates a paradox. He may seem distant, even hard to understand, but he leaves behind something rare: the memory of someone who lived without compromise. In a world saturated with imitation, his authenticity is the final chapter in many people's stories, a chapter that cannot be rewritten once closed. Number 2, they teach without trying. Simply by living independently, Sigma males show others how little external validation is truly needed, and that lesson lingers long after they are gone. In a world that constantly measures success by likes, approval, and social recognition, their quiet detachment is almost shocking. It is not rebellion for the sake of rebellion, but rather a subtle demonstration that fulfillment does not require the applause of a crowd. Psychologists have long studied the effects of external validation on human behavior, noting that while social approval can temporarily boost self-esteem, it often creates a cycle of dependency. Sigma males break that cycle. Their independence reveals a different truth: that self-worth is built from within, and that one's direction in life does not need to be tethered to the opinions of others. This independence often leaves a deep impression on those who encounter it. Think of how minimalism has become a movement in modern society. People are drawn to the idea that less can be more, that simplicity can bring peace. In the same way, Sigma males embody a minimalist approach to social energy. They strip away the excessive people-pleasing and posturing, showing that strength can exist in solitude and clarity can be found without constant noise. This isn't to say they reject connection altogether. Instead, they teach by example that genuine bonds matter far more than hollow approval. From an evolutionary psychology standpoint, humans are wired to seek belonging, because in ancient tribes, exclusion often meant death. Yet in the modern world, this instinct sometimes backfires, pushing people to chase validation at the expense of individuality. The Sigma male's lifestyle reminds us that survival no longer requires blending in. It requires authenticity. By choosing independence, they reveal that one can thrive even without constant reassurance. And in doing so, they unconsciously give others permission to do the same. The impact of this quiet lesson is not immediate. It often settles in slowly, like a seed planted in the back of one's mind. Long after a Sigma male has stepped away, people recall how comfortable he seemed in his own skin, how unshaken he was by outside pressure. That memory becomes a mirror, challenging others to ask, am I living for myself or for approval? In that question lies the transformative power of their influence. They may never seek to lead, but their independence teaches a deeper form of leadership, the kind that doesn't command, but inspires. And it is precisely this quiet, enduring mark that makes their presence unforgettable. Number 3, they leave quietly, not dramatically. When a Sigma male exits, there is no chaos, no loud farewell, just silence. And it is in that silence people realize the depth of his presence. This quiet departure speaks volumes about the unique psychology of Sigma males, a personality often described as independent, self-sufficient, and elusive. Unlike those who thrive on validation or external recognition, Sigmas move through life without the need to announce their arrival or departure. Their energy is subtle, yet it lingers in ways that are difficult to ignore. Think of the stillness left behind after a powerful storm. The calm feels heavier because of what just passed through. That is the imprint of a Sigma male. Psychologists often refer to people like this as introverted alphas, individuals who carry authority and influence without demanding the spotlight. Research in social dynamics shows that people remember those who are both rare and authentic. Sigma males embody this rarity by refusing to conform to societal scripts, while their authenticity creates a lasting impression. When they leave a friendship, relationship, or workplace, there isn't a dramatic exit to mark their absence. Instead, the silence becomes a mirror, reminding others of the value they once overlooked. What makes this phenomenon even more fascinating is how silence itself amplifies memory. Studies in cognitive psychology reveal that humans often recall quiet moments more vividly than noisy ones, especially when those quiet moments follow consistency and depth. A Sigma's silence after leaving is not just the absence of sound, it is the absence of presence, and it forces others to confront how deeply his steady influence shaped their lives. Unlike loud personalities who demand attention, Sigmas leave people reflecting, replaying conversations, and recognizing subtleties they once took for granted. In many ways, this mirrors ancient wisdom. The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Sigmas embody this principle, showing strength not in retaliation or noise, but in restraint and detachment. Their exits are not acts of drama, but lessons in perspective. A reminder that true power lies not in how loudly you can hold a room, but in how deeply you can be missed when you're no longer in it. So when a Sigma male exits, the silence he leaves behind is not empty. It is charged. It is the quiet realization that someone rare has moved on, someone who never sought applause, yet changed the atmosphere simply by being. And it is in that moment people finally grasp the truth. The depth of a Sigma's presence is only fully understood when it's gone. Number 4, they cannot be replaced. Others may try to fill the space left behind, but the absence of performance, the absence of neediness, is difficult to replicate. This is one of the most intriguing aspects of people who live by inner strength rather than outer display. When someone who constantly seeks approval leaves, the void they create is quickly replaced, because attention seekers are easy to recognize and even easier to imitate. But when a person's presence is grounded in quiet confidence, their departure lingers in ways that words cannot explain. What makes this absence so profound is not just who they were, but what they refused to be, desperate for validation, eager for attention, or bound by the opinions of others. Sociologists and psychologists have long studied this phenomenon, often linking it to concepts like self-differentiation and non-attachment. The idea is simple. People who are not defined by others are harder to forget because they never played by the script of society in the first place. Instead of chasing approval, they cultivate an identity rooted in independence. Studies on human attraction show that confidence without arrogance, what researchers sometimes call authentic confidence, creates a magnetic pull. It's not loud or flashy, but it leaves an imprint on memory precisely because it feels rare in a world full of performance. This absence of neediness also mirrors lessons found in philosophy. The Stoics, for example, taught that true strength lies in self-control and detachment from external praise. Epictetus once remarked that a man who depends on others for happiness is enslaved, but the one who governs himself is free. In modern psychology, this resonates with findings about intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation. People who live by inner purpose rather than external validation not only achieve more sustainable happiness, but also stand out in social dynamics. Their relationships are often deeper because they are not rooted in transactional need, but in genuine presence. This is why, when such a person leaves, the emptiness they leave behind is not easily filled. Others can attempt to mimic their composure, but imitation quickly cracks under pressure because it is still performance, not authenticity. Think of it like a stage actor trying to play a role off stage. The illusion works only under certain lights. Once life tests that mask, the difference between someone performing confidence and someone embodying it becomes strikingly clear. Ultimately, the quiet weight of a person who needed nothing from others is unforgettable. Their absence is a mirror, reminding those left behind of the rare strength of simply being. And in that silence, they teach perhaps the most important lesson, that true presence has nothing to do with proving yourself, and everything to do with mastering the art of not needing to. Number 5, they mirror truths people avoid. Being around a Sigma male is like standing in front of a mirror that doesn't flatter you, doesn't distort you, and doesn't lie. It simply reflects you back to yourself. Their detached nature, independence, and refusal to play into social games often reveal uncomfortable truths to those around them. For many people, interactions are filled with masks, politeness, flattery, or small pretenses designed to maintain approval. A Sigma doesn't participate in those rituals. They don't adjust themselves to fit the expectations of others. And that authenticity often forces people to realize just how much of their own life has been shaped by trying to please or impress. Psychologists call this phenomenon social comparison, where people measure themselves by those they are around. But with a Sigma, there's no active competition. They simply exist as they are. This still provokes others to question themselves. Why am I chasing validation? Why do I feel uneasy around someone who doesn't need me to like them? In this way, being near a Sigma can be both unsettling and strangely liberating. You begin to see the cracks in your own habits, ambitions, and insecurities. When that presence disappears, the void is strangely loud. People often feel a sense of relief, no longer having that constant, silent reminder of what they are avoiding about themselves. At the same time, they feel a loss. It's like removing the mirror from a room. You can breathe easier without its honesty, but you also lose the clarity it once provided. The irony is that most only realize the value of a Sigma's presence in hindsight. Studies in human relationships show that people often grow through friction, not comfort. And a Sigma provides that subtle friction without ever intending to. This is why Sigma males often leave such a lasting impression. They don't demand loyalty, they don't cling, and they don't perform. But their authenticity plants questions in others that can't easily be forgotten. Once that mirror is gone, people miss the way it sharpened their own vision of themselves, even if it made them uncomfortable. And so, in their absence, there is both peace and a quiet ache, as if a rare and necessary truth-teller has walked out of the room. Number 6, they value their own path more than attachment. Sigma males are often described as men who walk their own path, prioritizing their journey over attachment to people or societal expectations. This choice of solitude is not rooted in coldness, but in clarity. They understand that clinging to people can sometimes hinder growth, and so they choose to detach. Paradoxically, this very detachment often leaves a deeper imprint on others. Psychology has long shown that scarcity creates value. When something or someone is not easily available, people tend to remember and desire it more. Sigma males embody this principle in human relationships. Their absence speaks louder than many people's presence. From a sociological perspective, we know that humans are wired to form tribes, to seek belonging and validation. The Sigma, however, resists this wiring. He does not cut himself off from society, but operates outside of its need for approval. This creates a unique kind of memory in the minds of others. People remember the man who did not beg for attention, who did not seek validation, but instead quietly focused on his mission. In evolutionary psychology, such figures stand out because they break the pattern. They represent independence, and independence has always been both admired and feared. It is also worth noting that detachment does not mean a lack of care. Many Sigma males are deeply observant, compassionate in subtle ways, and capable of meaningful connections. But when they sense that their growth or peace is at risk, they choose the journey instead. This makes them unforgettable because most people cling to comfort, while the Sigma embraces discomfort if it leads to progress. And so, when they leave, people hold on tighter in memory, replaying the moments, wondering what it was about this rare presence that made such a lasting impact. This is the paradox of the Sigma male. Absence becomes their strongest form of presence. When people meet a Sigma male, they may not fully grasp what they have encountered. Only later do they realize his presence was unlike the rest, a quiet teacher, a reminder of self-respect, and a symbol of independence. And when the chapter closes, it does not reopen. That is why Sigma males often become the final chapter in people's lives, not because they choose cruelty, but because they walk a path that does not circle back.